I would love to introduce you now to Jo Lindgren. I've become very, very fond of Jo. She is a great lady. Jo is an ex-LNP senator who saw the light and came over to the Conservatives. So without further ado, Jo.
Thank you, everyone. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to acknowledge my running mates, Kate Horan, Lyle Shelton, and I'd also like to acknowledge the leader of the Australian Conservatives and its founder, Senator Cory Bernardi. I also mustn't forget our supporters, our donators, and our rusted on members, and I'd like to thank you for joining this party. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a challenging task in front of us, but like other parties before us, they too fought hard to build brand awareness and acceptance. Take the Greens, for example. Their rise in politics from a small group of tree-hugging, environmentalist fringe dwellers was a long, slow march to become a significant force in politics. They first contested the Senate as the Australian Greens in 1990 and did not win a seat until 1996. Now they have 9 senators and 1 lower house member. In the various states, they have 22 seats and have taken over many local councils. Unlike some of the sugar-hit parties, we will not burst into Parliament just to fall apart from out-of-control egos and internal squabbling. We are setting a course and we will stay put to that course, rising one step at a time. And bit by bit, we will stop the unholy influence of the Greens and others in Australian politics. You may think there is no other group in Australian politics that are as bad as the Greens, but there is. Bill Shorten and other prominent Labor members are also members of a worldwide organisation known as the Fabian Society, which seeks to promote democratic socialism. I'm at a loss on how socialism can be democratic, but they would have us believe it. It is so named from the Roman general Fabius, who developed a tactic of persistence, harassment, and wearing the enemy down by attrition rather than in pitched climatic battles. Their original symbol was a wolf in sheep's clothing. As it is a worldwide organisation, national boundaries and identities are of no importance to them. It is obvious that the left had been on a long march to enforce their views, and that they have worn down much of the centre-right by their persistence and their harassment. The left's long, slow march has worn the Liberals down. They try to appease them, but with various concessions, in the vain hope that each one will be their last. Instead of fighting the Labor and the Greens, it is easier for them to avoid contentious subjects, so they don't incur the wrath and the fear that they will lose votes. Does the coalition really think the Greens or rusted-on Labor voters will suddenly vote for them because of their renewable energy policies? No, they won't. But they will complain that they did not go far enough and make more and more demands. Their weakness has caused a vacuum in representing and fighting in the Conservative sensible right. Just look around the Western world. Conservative right parties are emerging, and the sky has not fallen in as some would have us believe. They are being branded as the far right and even fascists, but in many cases they are people just like you and I, in no means racist or every new phobic that the left invents. They are citizens concerned about the direction of their country. They are proud of their culture and their heritage, and they want to preserve all that has served them well. Whether it is the Alternative for Germany, the United Kingdom Independence Party, Hungary's Viktor Orban, the list grows bigger by the day. They are growing strength at every election. We have just seen a new brand new Conservative Party in Alberta, Canada say enough is enough. No more concessions, and they swept into power. A party cannot be all things to all people. The world's greatest leaders know that and knew that, and that is why they are remembered in history. I believe that one of the most telling signs of how the socialist centre left have become is the ALP's support of the death duties. The ultimate and final insult to those who put a bit aside to simply want to pass on their accumulative wealth to their families, regardless of how small it is, or even money to their friends or their charities. They're wanting to take that away. Greed comes in many forms. In this case, the latest will be a death tax, a tax that was removed by the Queensland centre-right government many years ago. The left has stooped to being grave robbers. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're worried that your life is not your own now, be very afraid of what a Fabian Society member like Bill Shorten, Labor and the Greens will do to control every aspect of your life. Throughout history, smaller groups of people have valiantly stood against larger numbers. The Kokoda campaign was not won by a large, well-equipped army. It was won by a depleted and poorly supplied battalion who would simply not give in. And as time wore on, they became stronger and stronger. It is also during the Second World War, Churchill spoke of when the tide began to turn, that it was not the beginning of the end, but only the end of the beginning, signifying that there was still a long way to go. I now ask you to show that same spirit and step forward during this election. Help Lyle, Kate and I man the booths and then stand ready for future campaigns. We have hard work ahead of us. Lyle, like Kate and I, Lyle Shelton is someone who has nailed his colours to the mast. Lyle is well known for his campaign against same-sex marriage and the Safe Schools program. He is a man of principle, a man of faith, and a man who is willing to fight for what he believes in. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage Lyle Shelton, our number one on the Australian Service.